Fromsoft has put out so many games in recent years, and they've all been incredible. I mean, their first well-known, huge game was obviously Demon's Souls, and they've made lots. I mean, they made the Dark Souls series, they made Sekiro, they made Bloodborne, and today happens to be the release day of Elden Ring, which is a game that many of us in the world have been waiting to come out for ages. There's so much hype surrounding this game. And with that being what's happening, we wanted to share 5 of our favorite FromSoft boss fights. Let's begin, shall we? Starting off first, we have the great Grey Wolf Sif. I'm not going to make you wait for it. We all knew this would be here. Sif is such an incredible boss fight because it makes you feel so bad. Like, the whole time you're fighting Sif, you start off this giant dog wolf thing holding a massive sword in its mouth, jumps out from behind a massive gravestone, and it attacks you, and you gotta fight it, of course. And then, as the fight goes on, you kind of, you of course, if it's your first time through, you're gonna get murdered by Sif a few times. But then, you start figuring him out, you start beating him. You get underneath him, you just start wailing on his soft belly. And then Sif starts limping. And he gets so sad when you're fighting him. To the point where, when I played, I didn't even want to deliver the finishing blow. And then, after the fight, you read his soul, like his information on the soul that you get from him, and you find out that this guy was just defending the grave of his master. And that's just terrible. I mean, it's not terrible, it's so sad. You basically just murdered Knight Artorias' best friend and guard dog. Good job, chosen undead. Let's move on before I start crying. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. You play as a ninja samurai who has 2 lives at all the time. And that's great. So, we gotta ask, what is my favorite boss fight in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice? And honestly, I haven't beaten this game. I've gotten pretty far in it, but Lady Butterfly was the first massive roadblock that I had to get over, and it's such a fun fight. And it feels entirely skill-based. Like, this is not one of those fights that you can just go in and cheese, like a lot of the bosses have cheese ability. This one, you have to perfectly parry all of her attacks and slowly whittle her down through the fight. I remember the first time I almost killed her. I got close to the end of the fight, and then I got excited and I got greedy, went for a hit that I shouldn't have, and boom, I was dead. And it was awful. And then, eventually, you do beat her, and it just feels so good. And it's not a giant, massive monster that you're fighting like a lot of the other bosses. It's just a human that you gotta kill. Lady Butterfly. It's time to talk about Bloodborne. I love Bloodborne. I cannot beat Bloodborne. Why? Well, if you've seen my Spider-Man stream, you will know that I am massively arachnophobic. And I could probably deal with the ROM fight, because those spiders have the weird things over the faces. And plus you can just summon somebody to do it for you. But what I cannot do is, in the Hunter's Nightmare, is deal with all those spider, like that main castle area with all the spiders in it. I just, just thinking about it is giving me the willies. But what I can do is talk about Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower, because this fight is insane. You enter the clock tower, and there's just dead body, a corpse, just sitting there. There's that beautiful window, and you walk up, and you meet Lady Maria. It's a empty boss chamber with very atmospheric music and lighting. It's just so good. And she just walks up to you, and then she murders you again and again and again. And she has so many phases to this fight. 3 phases, actually. Quicker attacks, mixing with long range. And then she uses blood and fire that you gotta dodge over all over the place. And it's great the first time you fight her. It's just incredible to watch. Unfortunately, I've never made it to that part of the game to do it myself, but I've seen other people, I've seen my friends do it. So, yeah, Lady Maria. What else can I say? Second last boss I want to talk about on this list is the first, like, massive hint that Dark Souls 1 is not as easy as it seems to be. I mean, because at this point, you have cleared out several bosses. You've killed the Bell Gargoyles, Taurus Demon, Asylum Demon, and you've even killed the massive Iron Golem at the top of Sen's Fortress, which was a slog to get through. And of course, Capra Demon. Don't forget about Capra Demon. But then, you meet these 2 boys. You walk in and fight Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executioner Smo. And, oh my god. The first time you do this fight, you walk in, you're like, oh, this is obviously a boss room. Then, Smo jumps down, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm gonna fight this big guy. And then, nope, there's also Ornstein here. A little one and a big one. And then whenever you beat one, whichever one first, the other one, like, absorbs their power and gets even stronger. And it is a hellish boss fight that is just incredible. It's personally my favorite boss fight in Dark Souls 1. It's not the hardest boss fight once you know what you're doing, but that's how Dark Souls is. The first time you play it, you're going to get wrecked, and then you figure out how to beat the boss, and you can just do it, not easily, but you can just do it every time. Oh, inside of the smell. That leaves us with 1 boss fight remaining for this list. And we're going to Dark Souls 3 for this one. And this one is what I'm predicting Elden Ring is going to feel like for a lot of the game. Because Elden Ring is a very open game, lets you go anywhere you want. And the Dancer in Royal Valley is a boss fight that you can accidentally trigger, or purpose to trigger, right near the start of your run of Dark Souls 3. And if you do, you're in for a rough time. You enter the chapel, and the blood closes. And, I mean, if you kill what's-her-face sitting on the chair, suddenly you have to fight this dancer guy. And he's very sinewy, very insect-like. And it has some of the best boss music. We'll try and play a clip of it without getting DMCA here. And just look at the fluidity of this fight. You gotta dodge perfectly, you gotta block at the right time, just like any other boss fight. But it just feels so smooth while you're doing it. And there's the fact that you can just accidentally trigger this fight if you aren't careful. Which is not a fun time. That's our list. Thank you so much for listening to me prattle on about Fromsoft bosses. If you enjoyed this, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to. Greatly appreciate it. The channel appreciates it. And let me know what Fromsoft bosses that I missed that you would have liked to hear about. Maybe we'll make a part 2 in the future, once we have lots of new bosses from Elden Ring. And of course, my friends, that leaves just one thing left to say, and that's... Ba-da-da-ba-da-bye.